Oh, you gotta love deadline time. We're like a month out from the NBA trade deadline. Rumors galore the last week involving the Sacramento Kings and Pascal Siakam. And Morgan, we got a fresh one this morning from The Athletic. Sam Amick says that Siakam would not be excited if he were traded to Sacramento. In fact, in the report, he says it would be a rental. According to two league sources, the Kings should have very little, if any, optimism regarding the prospect of Siakam re-signing in the summer if they were to land him. He also goes on to say, well, Siakam and the Raptors could agree to an extension, but if he ends up getting moved, he is seeking a full-term max salary deal no matter where he ultimately lands. And while Siakam has not asked for a trade, the sources say he doesn't view the Kings as a good long-term fit if the Raptors choose to move him. So Morgan Reagan, your reaction to the news that Siakam would not be excited if you were traded to Sacramento?
I kind of want to be like, bye, peace out, don't need you anyway. I think that's me coming from a protecting what not only this city, but I believe that this organization has to offer. I also think sometimes when we read and see these pieces and see what agents put out, they go, how can I find a place, a home for my client where he can make the most money? How can he make the most money in Sacramento in a small market and do the blah, blah, blah? It's confusing to me sometimes because I kind of go, don't knock it until you try it. I mean, how many times do we need to talk about Chris Webber not wanting to come to Sacramento and then ends up being here and then having this fantastic career here in Sacramento, this fantastic life off the floor in Sacramento, ends up being able to build off of that in after his basketball career as well as a broadcaster and everything. I don't know. It's frustrating to hear. I understand it. I just hope, and because I don't want to speculate, but I hope it's not Pascal Siakam that is the one that's really being like, no, 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 I don't want to go there. I hope it's just the stupid agents
I
that
don't
actually are tone deaf and have no freaking clue.
know, Morgan. I'm sure it's him. And I think it's something that we talked about a couple of days ago when these rumors were cropping up. I'm of the belief that Siakam views himself as a stud, and he has been, right? An all NBA player. He's a champion. He's made the All-Star team a couple of times. And I think maybe him coming to Sacramento, he views it as, man, Fox and Sabonis, those are the two All-Stars there. Those are the guys. They've got the ball a lot. Am I going to get the touches that I want to get all the time? Am I going to have to take a back seat to them some nights? I want to be a huge part of whatever they're doing. And I think he would be, but there could be some nights he's option 3. There could be some nights he's option 1. I think with how the Kings offense functions, it depends, but we know the importance of Fox and Sabonis. So maybe he's not excited about that prospect because he views himself as maybe better than Fox and Sabonis. Of course, we're all speculating here, right? But that's just one thought I had about the situation. And it's to me, it's disappointing to hear that, that a player wouldn't want to be in Sacramento, right? Because that's kind of been the rap. It's so hard for these small market teams like a Sacramento to land these guys, and you got to take risks. Like you mentioned the Chris Webber one. When they traded Mitch Richmond to get him, Chris Webber didn't show up on the first day of camp. They had to convince him. He said he wasn't showing up, and it ends up being okay. I guess the next question is, if you're Sacramento and you read this today, I'm sure they already know this. I don't think Monty McNair read The Athletic and goes, oh, I guess we can't trade for him now. You read The Athletic today? But, is it a gamble you could still take if you reached a deal? Do you go, you know what? That's fine. He says that. But the one sentence in here that jumps out to me, Siakam is seeking a full-term max salary deal no matter where he ultimately lands. Well, he comes to Sacramento. They can pay him more than anybody.
Yep.
So, sure, he could walk at the end, but he's going to leave money on the table. Now, it's happened before, right? Toronto's actually felt this. When they traded for Kawhi Leonard, they won a championship. They had his bird rights. They could offer him the most money. He elected to leave some money on the table, at least with that salary, and go play for the LA Clippers. So there's definitely a gamble in these situations, but it's I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like why he wouldn't want to be here. You know,
Yeah.
what is that? And maybe it's, look, they yes, they had one good season, right? The Kings had one good season. They had a couple of all-star appearances, but for the most part, they've been a losing franchise.
I think too, if you look at how there were reports like, oh, maybe he'd want to be with the Warriors or whoever. Like, no shit. Doesn't everyone want to be with Steph Curry? It's like, come on. But at the same time, too, that's going to be an organization that it goes a different direction after Steph Curry. Now, if Pascal Siakam's there, they still have, this positive future having a piece like him there, but you still got to put some shit around him. You still
Yeah.
got to have pieces around him. And I just look at where Sacramento is with their youth, their style of play, their organizations going in the right direction, their facilities. And of course, I'm biased. I am born and raised in Sacramento. I love the shit out of Sacramento, but I've also have talked to a lot of the guys on this team and talking about the amount of joy that they feel playing in Sacramento, whether they're not playing and they're seeing bench time or they are seeing time on the floor, they're enjoying this basketball. They're enjoying this team.
Yeah.
And I just think that is so very important. I don't I don't think that gets overlooked by some of these smart players out there that are like, look, I want to be happy going to my job every day. But I also think sometimes the glitz and the glam and the bigger names, whether it's bigger name players or bigger name organization or bigger name city, can be like very appealing at times when really you have to take a step back and go, but where can I play my best basketball? What style is going to fit me? And I think that is something that players used to not ask themselves enough, where I think there really are so many more players in this day and age that care about their bodies, don't care about the partying and really want to be the best that they can be on and off the floor.
So I guess my question for you, Morgan, is does this report phase you? Siakam would not be excited to play in Sacramento. Little optimism about being able to stay in Sacramento if he gets traded there. Do you cross him off your trade target list at this point?
I feel like this is information we already kind of knew, right? And I feel like we kind of know this with probably a lot of most people, most players in the NBA. But when you see it put out there in writing or it's reported, is when it's like a little bit of a dagger to the heart, where I do take it personally and I go, well, I don't want you either. Like, you're not going to
Yeah.
make this a championship team. You alone, you're not going to make this a
You
championship team.
know,
Cal.
I've gone back and forth on this. I'd almost still consider it if you can get a
But
deal
but
done.
but same,
Because
same.
like all the things you listed, right? Like, hey, the city, you spend some time here, be around the facility, be around some of the guys, talk to Mike Brown, and then all of a sudden you start winning. Maybe he goes, well, it wasn't too bad. Actually, they can pay me more. I'll stick it out here. I don't know. Today wasn't, oh, Siakam does not want to go to Sacramento. If he gets traded there, he won't show up. Today was Siakam would not be excited. And there's little optimism that he would resign there. It's like, okay. I mean, that's like a way of trying to force, put it out there that, oh, he doesn't have interest there, maybe to, scare off the Kings or something like that. I don't know.
I think there's absolutely that tactic being used, which is smart. When you want to play somewhere, you want to make sure that you're manipulating people like your agent is, right? Like, it's your camp. It's not you saying,
Sure.
I don't want to play there. I wouldn't resign there. It's your camp is saying that, or however the hell they want to, use that in a story. But either way, I'm so with you where I'm I'm under the impression like you can convince someone to live here. One, it's California. You're 90 minutes away from the city. You're 90 minutes away from snow and Tahoe and all these wonderful things.
Yeah.
I mean, on top of that, like, there's beach towns galore everywhere. And I say
Is
this
this the
because
pit? Are you hoping Siakam watches this? And it's like, well,
no,
you know
no,
what? I didn't consider the proximity to Lake
no,
Tahoe in San
because I
Francisco
don't
and
give a
Napa.
shit. I don't give a shit if he's watching,
Yeah.
if he's not, one, but two, like, I I think sometimes that alone, just being in
Yeah.
California, does get overlooked. And And I'm not going to talk about a one-on-one that I had the other day with somebody who said that they're so glad to be here because it's such a perfect location. And I think a
Just
lot
to
of
be
people,
clear, it's Sabonis. I was giving crap to Morgan for mentioning it 800 times. Yeah, I'm
but
with you on that. I hear
But
you.
and even just you and I, like just to go behind the scenes, like we've had people around the NBA, especially like during the playoffs, come here in
Yeah.
Sacramento and they go, "Oh, I didn't realize how much food and drinks and great places the city actually has." And it's like, yeah, nobody does because everyone thinks about it as old Cowtown,
I,
where Arco used to be. And it's like, you guys, I don't know if you know this, th- time has happened. Things have changed. Places have grown. Like you have to accept that it's a different place than it was 20 years ago.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, we're 100% speculating. Like, I don't know where the city ranks in terms of Siakam looking at Sacramento. I do think fit actually matters a little bit to him too, and that's where we go back to the Fox and Sabonis thing. I guess the next angle on this whole thing too, you know, if Siakam is, I'm sure he's having conversations with Masai Ujiri. Those guys go way back. Like, they have a relationship, okay?
Mhm.
Do you think Masai listens to Siakam and goes,
No,
you know what?
aside, no,
I know
no.
I disagree with that. I think, especially if there's a chance they could give him an extension, I think this is how it's going to play out. I don't think Siakam wants to go to Sacramento, and I think Masai's like, fine, that's cool. Let's try to work out an extension. We'll keep you here. And I think that's almost the best route for the Raptors. Sign him to an extension. You know he's a good player. He's been an all NBA talent. And what you do is, if you feel like you do want to make a move, then you trade him next
Yep.
year. And now you're in a situation where these teams are trying to get Siakam. They have complete control where he's got like a 4 years left on his deal. And now you're getting more assets. I think right now, Toronto's just not getting the type of offers that they would anticipate for a player of his caliber because of the free agent status of Siakam. And
I
that's why the
agree.
Sacramento stuff's coming out, because I think the Sacramento stuff got pretty serious.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I'm sure it did get serious, and I'm sure they felt like, okay, can we get a lot of assets? Can we get a lot of different things
Yeah.
from Sacramento and go in that direction? But I think you, I mean, you're not wrong. I think it would be smart if they could get him to re-sign and obviously go in that direction and try and get more out of him even next season when a team could have more control over him. And look, I mean, maybe it's even a situation where you go, can we repair this relationship? We have Scotty Barnes. We have this passionate coach. I don't know if you saw him going off about
Yes.
Scotty Barnes not getting calls the other night and just like sticking up for his guy. Like we have things here. But if that relationship can't repair, can they at least get that contract done so they can end up selling Pascal Siakam for more, where the Kings probably wouldn't be in the mix at that point. And you know what? If that's the case too, and the Kings are seeing this whole situation, I'm glad. Here's the other thing too, Deuce. So many people always want to complain around trade deadline. The Kings aren't being aggressive. The Kings aren't doing anything. Well, the Kings are in this talk. The Kings are in this chatter right now. And sure, if they don't get things done, yeah, it's frustrating. It's like, who gives a shit if they're in the talk, if they're not getting anything done? But at the same time, it's not trade deadline yet. You just hope that the Kings can remain in this chatter, not only with Pascal Siakam, but with whoever else is going to be out there.
So we'll be live talking about Kings and Hornets tonight and about the latest development involving Siakam. In the comments below, let us know what you think about this development, about Siakam not being excited if he gets traded to Sacramento. Would you move on? And if you want to move on, who's the next target for the Sacramento Kings? And if you're like, no, I want to go all in, let us know in the comments below if you'd still take the gamble of going after Siakam. Raptors fans, also, let us know how you're feeling too. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe. We appreciate you guys.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.